The United States has just unleashed a new wave of sanctions against Russia, and they are already biting. The measures signed by President Trump target the heart of the Kremlin's war economy, its oil and gas giants, Rosneft and Lukoil. According to the Financial Times, the move marks Trump's sharpest shift on Ukraine since returning to office. Just days after he was preparing for a peace summit with dictator Putin, the meeting was cancelled and sanctions were expanded instead. The restrictions hit four of Russia's biggest oil exporters, which account for nearly 80% of its crude shipments. Analysts say the impact could drain up a third of Russia's state revenues. The Financial Times notes that the cumulative and corrosive effect of sanctions is now showing through slowing growth, stubborn inflation, and worsening finances inside Russia. Meanwhile, the EU has followed Washington's lead, banning Russia's LNG imports from 2027 and blacklisting another 170 tankers from the so-called shadow fleet. As Western pressure grows, Moscow is beginning to feel the sting. US President Donald Trump has responded to Vladimir Putin's claims about testing the Burevestnik missile, which Moscow calls a weapon with unlimited range. Speaking to reporters during the trip to Asia, Trump said the United States has nuclear submarines positioned close to Russia and warned that Putin should be thinking about ending the war in Ukraine instead of showing off new missiles. When asked about the possibility of further sanctions, Trump only said, "You'll find out." At the same time, Trump's personal sympathies toward Putin have not disappeared. He continues to reduce Russia's genocidal war against Ukrainians to a matter of a personal dislike between Zelensky and Putin, failing to grasp the deeper context and forgetting that this war began back in 2014.
I'm going to have to know that we're going to make a deal. I'm not going to be wasting my time. I've always had a great relationship with Vladimir Putin, but this has been very disappointing. I thought this would have gone long before peace in the Middle East. I mean, we have Azerbaijan and Armenia. That was very tough. In fact, Putin told me on the phone, he said, boy, that was amazing, because everybody tried to get that done and they couldn't. I got it done. You had others that, if you look at India and Pakistan, I could say almost any one of the deals that I've already done, I thought would have been more difficult than Russia and Ukraine, but it didn't work out that way. There's a lot of hatred between the two. Between Zelensky and Putin is tremendous hatred.
Modern warfare has changed, and NATO should start learning from Ukraine. That's the conclusion of the Independence International editor Sam Kiley, who argues that not all European nations yet realize this war concerns them too. Kiley writes that since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, President Zelensky has been asking Western allies for traditional weapons, tanks, artillery and fighter jets, but the battlefield has shifted. Cheap kamikaze drones and long-range missiles can now destroy even well-fortified positions far behind the front line, while new fiber-optic control drones can be jammed and are extremely difficult to shoot down. According to Sam Kiley, these technologies are transforming warfare as dramatically as aircraft and tanks did in World War I. If Ukraine continues to maintain its technological edge over Russia in drone warfare, it could offset Moscow's advantage in sheer numbers. He notes that Russia's massive but poorly trained army has historically exhausted its opponents through attrition. Yet drones and precision weapons are changing that balance. Zelensky reportedly told Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk that Ukraine can keep resisting for another 2 or 3 years. Still, the author warns that Western complacency is dangerous. NATO remains vulnerable both to US isolationism and to Hungary's pro-Kremlin stance. European leaders, he says, still fail to grasp that what happens in Ukraine is also their war. Despite Russian drone attacks on European cities, cyber operation, espionage, and disinformation campaigns, public concern remains muted. Meanwhile, Ukraine is already using artificial intelligence to help drones identify and strike targets autonomously, a technological leap Western militaries have yet to match. The United States and China have reached a framework deal to avoid the planned 100% tariffs on Chinese import. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced that the agreement after 2 days of trade talks in Malaysia with China's Vice Premier He Lefeng, calling the discussions very successful. Speaking on CBS, Bessent confirmed that higher tariffs against China are no longer being considered. It's off the table, he said, adding that China, in turn, will not impose global export controls on rare earth metals. The final details of the agreement will be set by President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping, who are expected to meet next week. Their talks will focus on balancing trade between the two countries, increasing Chinese purchases of U.S. soy and other agricultural goods, and addressing the fentanyl crisis in America. Now both sides seem to have stepped back from confrontation, at least for now. Ukraine urgently needs at least 10 Patriot air defense systems, Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said. He has explained that Kyiv is working closely with its partners under the Plural program to help procure Patriot and other air defense systems by the end of the year. He added that Ukraine must also strengthen its own production capabilities to ensure long-term security and deterrence. Sybiha stressed that it's equally important to build our own capacity to produce domestic systems. This is about self-sufficiency and deterrence package that will prevent further Russian aggression and raise its cost.
We hope that the PURL, Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List, program will help to purchase additional Patriot systems from the American side, because it is one of the few systems that can effectively destroy ballistic missiles. Our request now is at least 10 systems that we need. Not only these systems, but others. We are now actively working with our allies to speed up the supply of different types of air defense systems until the end of the year.
That's all for now. For more content, please subscribe.